on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is Monday. That's right, back on the grind, having a look at what is going on. We are still having a bit of a red day. Now, it is not a bloody Sunday like it was yesterday, but we're still seeing a lot of red in the charts. Some of the altcoins look like, oh, XRP was green for like a second. Now we're back in the red. Okay, so it's definitely going to be a very interesting week moving forward. I do want to talk about some of these levels that we hit. Yesterday, I was talking about, actually, it was in the title of the video, literally. 10K Bitcoin, because it really looked like we were going to go down to that level, and we ended up touching it. So we definitely fell out of the triangle that we were looking at, and I said yesterday was kind of a no trade day for me. I didn't really want to do anything specifically. I wanted to see where Bitcoin was headed. Well, clearly we broke to the downside, so I do want to talk about some of these key targets. Are we going to go lower? There are some things we can look at. There are factors. Also, not to mention, fundamentally speaking, we do have Facebook dealing with their Libra congressional hearing coming up. Don't forget, Bitcoin does sometimes tend to respond to these like Senate, governmental, congressional type hearings, right? A lot of people are waiting to see what they're going to say, because don't forget, Facebook Libra coin, even though we have our opinions on it, validated cryptocurrency and digital assets for a lot of people that were sitting on the sidelines. So I want to talk about that. Also want to talk about the fact that Bitcoin is still absolutely booming OTC. As a matter of fact, Venezuela right now buying a lot of Bitcoin, but it's not being reflected in spot price, right? Because it's not actually, it's being done over the counter. And the other thing I want to talk about is altcoins. I know a lot of people want to know what is going on with these altcoins. Are these altcoins going to be able to make a bounce back anytime soon? Well, there's actually something really interesting that's been developing on the altcoin chart. I want to talk about that as well. And today is Monday. So hey, if it's your first time checking out the Crypto Zombie channel, well, you are in luck, because we are giving away the Ledger Nano S. Well, actually, technically, you would have had to have commented on yesterday's video. But that being said, if you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? We do this every single day. Let's give it a refresh. Let's have a look at what's going on. Bitcoin dominance at 65.8%. So Bitcoin dominance is going back up again. So you're seeing altcoins move into Bitcoin. We're down to $279 billion. We do have some gainers today, though. Japan content up 46%. I don't know what that's about. Very, very low volume on that. 140,000. I probably wouldn't touch that one. We also have Next, ABBC coin, Cubitica, XMAX, Komodo, Metaverse, V Systems. That's really it, guys. Very, very, very minor gains across the board with the altcoins. But the one thing that I wanted to point out here was, if you look at this percent over the past week, you will once again notice, unfortunately, that it was best to have kept pretty much your profits in Bitcoin, or actually, technically, if you were in a stable coin, you would have done the best. But you notice Bitcoin is down 12%, where Ethereum 27%, XRP 21, Litecoin 26, Bitcoin Cash 29, EOS 28, Binance 17, Bitcoin SV 40%. So you could see, if you were holding altcoins this week, you definitely got hit a lot harder than Bitcoin. And if I was to switch this into the Bitcoin comparative, forget it. It would be not very nice either. Now, having a look at what's going on, we're noticing some buys. So it looks like people are seeing some opportunities. I've heard a lot of people say that maybe the altcoins have totally bottomed. We're going to talk about that. But you see, we have buys on Binance, Bitfinex, strong buy over at Bithumb on and a buy over on Bitflyer, right? Still, the shorts are outpacing the longs. So this is the situation. We were in this triangle. We fell out, right? We broke below this EMA. We were focusing on it. It was very important. Well, we got supported by the dotted trend that was acting as sort of that middle support in the ascending broadening wedge that we had starting back here from around May 11th. So currently, that is a good sign. Now, we were talking about different levels over here, right? We are now, we literally wicked down to the $9,892 level and instantly pulled back up. We had this chart yesterday in the video. This is nothing new. These are the same levels that we've been looking at for quite some time, except now currently, instead of looking at where we're, going upwards, we're more concerned about a little bit of a pullback. But as you can see right here, Alex Kruger, another one of my favorite accounts to follow on Twitter, says, my oversold Bitcoin signal just triggered on the 4-hour chart. In the last 365 days, it has triggered 9 times and has always marked a local bottom, not counting cases in which signals fired consecutively. Past performance not indicative of future results. So could this possibly be a local bottom? Well, having a look over here, you will notice that we were stomped out. We did come perfectly down to this level where we had the last pullback from where we had that high from it was almost $14,000. So basically, we're right back where we started again. I mean, it's just been a very interesting week. We put in gains, we erase them. We put gains back in, we erase them again, right? So that seems to be the pattern that's going on. Now, we do have this trend that started back here around June 15th. So I'm keeping this here just for now, this white line, to see if we do start to trend upward sideways, then we may have that breakout around August 8th. But if you think that we're going to end up going all the way to the end, in other words, if we fall down below this, well, then we could be looking for a breakout all the way at the end of August. So it could be a very, very long period of sideways accumulation for Bitcoin. Clearly, if we fall out of this, then we're talking about lower lows. But I do want to just entertain this for the time being. However, still looking at this blue box region, I think if we're able to get above the $11,174 level, that would be good. And then I would like to try to get above the ones we were speaking about before, 11,700 and higher, right? But here's the interesting thing. We came down here and literally got supported exactly by the 50-day moving average on the daily chart. So this is showing me that Bitcoin is still respecting these moving averages, especially on the EMA ribbon. You'll notice that even though we plowed directly into it, we basically took out all of these EMAs, but we stopped here right at the very bottom of the ribbon. So once again, Bitcoin is still methodically kind of following a pattern. I do still believe that we're in a bull market, clearly, but we are going to have these pullbacks. Don't forget, these are very common in these markets, in these uptrends, right? But one thing we wanted to bring up, or at least I wanted to bring up one more time, is these CME futures gaps, because you notice a lot of people saying that gaps tend to get filled, and as we have seen, well, we've pretty much filled every gap except for one gap so far. Now, I'm going to take this one out only because when I was talking with Crown the other day, this gap actually got filled on the daily, even though it didn't get filled on the 4 hour. So if you're looking at the higher time frames, we can actually take that out, all right? Even though I'm on the 4 hour right now. But you can see we had a gap right here. It was right around May 12th, where we just hopped up. We were sitting at around 6,403, and we hopped up to 6,893. And then you could see we came all the way up here where we maxed out at around 8,400, and we plummeted down, and you could see this wick right here. So we ended up filling that gap, right? So we could take that out of there. We did the same thing here where we hopped all the way up to about $9,000. We had a gap, okay? We came down. It was a few days later on June 3rd, and we filled the gap. Okay, and you could see just recently we had a gap that formed back here right on June 21st. We popped up to about 10,700, whatever. We went through all this. We actually filled the gap a while ago, but I'm just leaving it here for demonstration purposes. So that gap got filled, right? Well, that leaves us with one gap. Only one gap. So currently at this point, considering that every single gap has gotten filled so far, the question of, do we have to fill these gaps? No, we don't have to. But so far, we've filled all but one. So this is kind of telling me that it is a potential. So if we were to fill this, we would come down to $8,500, okay? But I think if we were to fill that gap, I think you would see a tremendous V-shaped, not a dead cat bounce. I think we would actually go up after that. So if we were to fill it and go down to 8,500, I would definitely be looking for accumulation, maybe even to buy around those levels. So we're going to keep our eyes on that. But I don't know why I just deleted the box. I'll put it back tomorrow. But, as you can see over here, like Little Bubble said, Bitcoin moons. I wish I bought more Bitcoin. If there's a pullback, I'm loading up. Okay, well, it dips. This looks ugly. I think I'll wait. Repeat for eternity, right? And it just reminds me of how many people were so scared to buy at $3,000 because we thought it was going to go lower. Well, as much as you could, sit here and panic and freak out, we could be at 18,000, right? We could have just kept going up, and then, we can only dollar cost average as quick as possible. So that would have sucked, right? So the one thing I do want to talk about, though, real quick, you guys know I've talked about this chart lots of times, but I want to talk about the strategy, okay? If you're not looking to do altcoin trading, if you don't feel comfortable margin trading or leverage trading, because they can be very risky either way, one of the best things you can do is dollar cost average. And I want to show you something pretty freaking cool right now. And it's not this chart. I'm actually going to show you after this, but stick with me. So I've been showing you this for a while. And you know what a lot of people say to me? Yeah, well, it's easy for you to say if you bought Bitcoin at like $8 or $10 or $100 or $200. Yeah, of course you're up. But what about us? We're buying at the end. It's too late for us, right? Bitcoin already went to the moon. We can't make any gains off of Bitcoin. Well, look, even if you just go to the past year, right? And you just look at recently, the past times that would have been, bad times to buy Bitcoin. I mean, you're only looking at this little tiny area up here where we had the 2017 to 2018 bubble, and literally this tiny, tiny little area that we've just recently had in the past month where you may have purchased Bitcoin a little bit too high. But we know that this is all part of a gigantic accumulation period, right? These highs are gonna be lows, right? All the previous all-time highs are now just like little blips on the chart. But let me show you something pretty cool. So this is actually called DCABTC.com. And basically, you can look hypothetically, right? Because I'm huge about dollar cost averaging. Listen, trading on Bybit, it's fun, right? But it's also really dangerous. Dollar cost averaging is something that everyone can do. Everyone that has a 9-to-5 job, you put 10% away, maybe $100 a week, right? And you forget about it, Sometimes in crypto, we have this mentality where we have to just become millionaires overnight. We have to get rich quick. I want my altcoin to pump 50x overnight, right? Well, that's a good way to get wrecked because now you're acting emotionally. You're basically trading on hope, right? And like Mark Yusko says, well, hope is a 4-letter word. It's not going to help you with trading, right? So having a look at this is just a good way to just understand whatever. So here's one cool thing you could do. So imagine you had bought $1 worth of Bitcoin and you repeated it, let's say every day. You bought $1 worth of Bitcoin every day and you started 9 years ago and you accumulated for 9 years. Well, that means today, if you would have spent $3,286 and you would currently have you'd have $18 million, and that would be a 550,450% change. Now, I know what you're saying. Yeah, okay, if I was dollar cost averaging back in 2009, nobody was doing that back then. You're right, nobody was doing that back then. So, how about we just go to a year? Let's say if you were dollar cost averaging for a year, I'm not going to do $1 because that's pretty ridiculous. Let's say every week you were putting in $100. That's something that I would say if you're really looking to buy some Bitcoin, you might be able to afford $100 a week. Maybe we'll just use that number. $100 a week, dollar cost average for 1 year. And 1 year ago, and we did it for 1 year. Even just that alone, if you would have put $5,300 in and you would have made $8,395. I know what you're saying. Okay, so I put $5,300 in and I only made $8,395. Yeah, well, you're thinking in crypto terms, but if you come over here, that was a 58.41% change. And I know that we're very spoiled here in crypto with these percentage changes, but name one thing that you could invest in and get a 58% return in 1 year. And it was a terrible year. We went through a bear market, guys. We lost 84% from the all-time high. And had you been dollar cost averaging from exactly 1 year ago, you would still be up 58%, okay? And you guys could play around with these numbers. You can change it. You could do 3 years ago, had you dollar cost average, and you did it for 3 years. Well, then you would have put 15,000 in, and you would be up 63,000. So you could see that it's very difficult. I mean, let's even do 6 months ago. What if you started dollar cost averaging 6 months ago? You would still be up 19.63%. So do you see why dollar cost averaging, even though I know it's difficult because, we want the gains now, we want the money now, but be patient and realize that, guys, this thing is going, let me go back to the log of this. Guys, this thing is going to the moon. I mean, I just screwed it up. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, look at this chart. Does this chart look bearish to you? Does this chart look like something that isn't on a bull trend? I mean, actually, when you pull back to this scale, have we ever been in a bear market? Really? So that's just something I wanted to point out moving forward. Now, let's talk about the altcoins, because altcoins are something that people are still talking about. I'm sure a lot of you have some altcoin bags. I have altcoin bags, okay? I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist. I do hold over 80% Bitcoin, but my 20% altcoins are getting wrecked right now. And actually, my Bitcoin dominance has been increasing because of that. But that being said, you've seen stuff like this on Reddit. Smart people will start diversifying into other low-price tokens like Ethereum, which is getting slaughtered right now. But Ethereum, when it does pop off, it may actually have a really, really, really good run. But anyway, VeChain, Kin, XRP, Link, all strong buys in the end. The bulls and whales know that a 10x is chump change. They know a 50x or a 100x is possible. It happens often in our crypto market. As a matter of fact, it's the only market in the world to do this. Well, here's something interesting I wanted to point out. Now, if you go over to Total 2 on TradingView, this represents all of the altcoins. So it's the total cap of crypto minus Bitcoin. So it's just the altcoins. Let's look at this. This is interesting. So we started putting in a bit of an ascending broadening wedge that started, now this is the altcoins, keep in mind, all the altcoins. We started doing this around May 14th, and you can see right here, we sort of peaked out. Now, obviously, there's massive wicks in the altcoins because we're not talking about just one asset, we're talking about a collective group, so that's why it fluctuates. But you'll notice right here, we got to the end of the ascending broadening wedge, and we dumped. Now, let me show you something. Here's an ascending broadening wedge. Do you notice that at the end, you usually dump, right? We talked about this on the channel. But I want to go into something else real quick before we talk about the fact that it dumped. But look at this chart and look at what just happened, okay? Okay, you see this? Look, same exact thing. Now, let me flip this on its head a bit. Get rid of this line right here, right? Now, let me change the color on this so that, we're staying uniform here. Now, if we take this trend line and we extend it all the way back to the start right here, okay? And like I said, give or take, these wicks are a little crazy. Well, what is happening? We are actually putting in a giant ascending broadening wedge on the altcoins, and the altcoins just hit the absolute bottom. Not saying we're ready to blast off, not saying it's alt season, but I am saying that the altcoins have hit the bottom of this ascending broadening wedge. Now, even though they tend to break to the downside, I want to show you something, because here's the thing right here. The ascending broadening wedge is a chart pattern that tends to disappear in a bear market. Most often you'll find them in a bull market with a downward breakdown, okay? So you don't usually see these in bear markets. You see them in bull markets with a downward breakdown. So bull market, downward breakdown, okay. And where else have we seen this? Well, this was the chart that I said, and I had put a video out, and I said, technically, this signal, this indicator, this pattern should not exist in a bear market. And look at what happened. We had it, right? And look, right here, Bitcoin had its drop, right? Because, at the time, you could have brought the wedge back to here, keep in mind. We had that drop, which is the same exact thing that we had here. And then we continued a little bit farther. Bitcoin pumped back up to the top before we finally had this massive, massive breakout where we had pretty much a 134% run up before we had our 30% pullback. So the question is, are we doing the same thing with the altcoins? You let me know. You let me know what you guys think. Now, the one thing that I do notice is sort of kind of going against the altcoins right now is this rising Bitcoin dominance. You can see Bitcoin has been following this trend very, very nicely. We came here, we basically topped the high that we had back on December 4th, which Bitcoin was, excuse me, guys. Bitcoin was around 69%, right? And that was pretty high. That was almost 70%. This is over here on TradingView. It's a little bit lower on CoinMarketCap, but you'll notice that we were stopped out back then. So the question is, do you think that Bitcoin will end up, maybe we might end up kind of doing something where we come back down here, maybe touch this again, sort of come back up, and then, wind ourselves into the end over here. Now, that is very, very possible. And if Bitcoin was to come down here and have sort of a pullback to, 61%, 60%, it wouldn't be the 50% that we're looking for. But I do believe that, since that would go into the altcoins would have a little mini rally. Now, would it be the alt season that we're all looking for? Maybe not exactly, but I do think that the altcoins would have a potential chance to have that pop off, right? So talking about fundamentals, things that could be directly affecting Bitcoin, we could look at charts all day. I mean, we could draw lines and triangles and whatever, but what's happening in the real world right now? Well, you're seeing that Bitcoin, they're saying, may have come under pressure ahead of the U.S. governmental hearings of Facebook's cryptocurrency Libra, which is happening tomorrow and Wednesday. So it's July 16th and 17th. I don't know what time you guys are watching the video. So you can see right here, Facebook's head of Calibra, one of the entities set up to govern and develop the project, David Marcus, is scheduled to testify to lawmakers on the Senate Banking Committee on Tuesday. and on the House Financial Service Committee on Wednesday. So the upcoming scrutiny of Libra may be weighing over Bitcoin. After all, past data shows Bitcoin tends to drop ahead of congressional hearings related to cryptocurrencies and rise on favorable outcomes. So, for example, last year, Bitcoin fell from around $6,820 to $6,000 in 5 days to July 12th before rallying to $7,400 on the 18th of July when the House Committee on Financial Services gathered for a hearing on crypto as a new form of money. So when these things tend to happen, people tend to just sit on the sidelines. You may have some people that are scared right now. They've sold back into stable coins or they've sold back into dollars or whatever, and they're just waiting to see what the outcome of this is, because if this doesn't turn out good for Facebook's Libra, well then I mean, that may put a lot of negative sentiment on the Bitcoin, not the community, but the people that were looking into Bitcoin, because a lot of people were hoping on that fact that now you would have this new gateway, right? You'd be able to buy Libra and then buy Bitcoin, maybe using Libra. We don't know how that's going to work yet, but it would be a good gateway because the ability to get into crypto can be difficult for people that, don't know how to do it. They don't know how to set up an account. They don't know how to set up a hardware wallet and all this other stuff, right? But here's the other thing. You had Congress coming out, saying that keep big tech out of finance. Anthony Pompliano says, wow, this would prevent large tech companies from becoming finance companies and launching digital assets. Unlikely to succeed. I probably agree with this. But he says this is the most bullish thing I've heard for Bitcoin in weeks. I don't know if it's the most bullish thing I've heard for Bitcoin, but it is something bullish nonetheless. And, it would probably prevent, because think about it, all these altcoins, right? The Bitcoin dominance is only at 70 or 60%, 70% because of the altcoins, because there's options, right? If you have less of these coins, then more of the focus will be on Bitcoin. So I think that's sort of where he was coming from. But just to sort of end, one more thing. For the third time in Bitcoin's history, the 200 DMA is overtaking the 350 DMA, signaling with even more certainty the beginning of a new bull market. And you can see right here, clearly, where the charts are, we're right where we need to be. So, having some kind of a pullback, having a little bit of a correction, going lower. Guys, listen, yes, there may be chances of Bitcoin going lower, but let's just be realistic. You guys know every time we have a 30%, 40%, even 50% pullback, well, we have a 150 to 200% rally that comes directly after that, right? So once this little correction that we're having right now is done, you can bet the next move that we're going to be having is another parabolic move. So that is just something to keep in mind moving forward. Now, I want to really quick talk about some altcoins, and then we'll get on out of here. So you have Spanish banking giant Santander is adding a new payment corridor to OnePay FX. This is the company's Ripple-powered digital banking app. So this is good for Ripple. The app now supports payments between the UK and Poland. However, unfortunately, they are using Xcurrent, not Xrapid. So this does not create demand for the XRP token, but it's a step in the right direction. However, we would like to see that utility for the actual token. Now, we saw Icon had a massive 50% surge yesterday. Incredible. It got back to the 44-cent mark for a little bit, which was basically what it debuted on for HitBTC, which is crazy to think that we've come full circle back to the beginning. But they actually have Fee 2.0, which is a new transaction fee system on the network. So this has been published on the mainnet, so users can pay for access with Icon dApp services more conveniently, or I should say they don't have to pay, right? Previously, all dApp users were required to pay, which sucks because you got to have a wallet, you got to have stuff in it. So now with this, the advantage is that dApp services operators can choose to pay the transaction fees on behalf of the service users. So that's definitely pretty big news. I mean, it's just, because people don't want to go through all these extra steps. The biggest problem is the entry, like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, people don't want to have to fund their MetaMask wallet with Ethereum or Icon or whatever the hell you're using just to use a dApp, right? No, when you use a dApp or an app on your phone, what do? You just click it and you open it and you use it. You play a game, you take a picture. You don't have to worry about sending gas on the network, right? Most people aren't going to want to do that. So I do think this is a good upgrade moving forward. And finally, before we go, guys, I want to talk about Deep Cloud AI because this is actually a pretty unfortunate story. I had a interview with Max from the team this morning. Something happened. We had technical difficulties and it only ended up recording 5 seconds of our conversation. So unfortunately, I couldn't put the video out. But I do want to just mention that they are having their public sale July 18th. And this is going to be over at bitmax.io. And for everybody out there asking, this is definitely not sponsored. In fact, I've been talking to Deep Cloud AI. As you can see, this came out June 20th of last year. So we've been talking to these guys for over a year and a month. And yeah, I mean, so basically I just want to revisit it and let you know that finally after a year, these guys are coming out with their token sale. But I just want to tell you something about this team. This is a very solid team. Geeta right here, she has some incredible experience. They have a really great platform and currently they've been focusing on their go-to-market strategy. So, you know, what they're dealing with, obviously cloud computing, deep learning, all that. You can see right here, smart cities, supply chain, etc. Now, the thing that I want to talk about is they have been making, real quick, yeah, they do have deep transfer. So you can basically send files, you know, securely and safe, whatever. But the thing that I want to talk about is all of these, where is it down here? These enterprise partners that these guys have made. And what's crazy is these aren't just like, oh, we took a picture and we had a handshake. These are actually real partners that are not only willing and ready to use it, they've been waiting to use it. Like, so these guys are on board. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to talk about. And also the other thing too, you do notice that Hitter Zoo from Nebulous is the advisor to the thing. Now, what's interesting is these guys are actually looking to implement that deep on the Binance chain as well. So you can expect this to be on Binance DEX. So that's something which, you know, I'm going to be honest, it's probably going to end up on Binance too. And currently it's going to end up being on BitMax and Binance. So definitely check it out, guys. If you're interested, I'm so sorry that the interview couldn't come out, but I do have this one that came out a while ago and it has a lot of information in it, guys. It's 45 or 40 minutes long. Definitely check it out. Yeah, so that's basically that for that. But before we go, I wanted to just leave on this video right here, which I'm not going to play right now because it's a little bit long, but
let's explain how using
Andreas Antonopoulos basically talks about, Lightning Network and how people say, it's crap and it doesn't work and all this other stuff. And he basically compares it to the internet and talks about how, back when he first started, just having to, connect to different IP addresses and all the different things that you had to do were crazy. Whereas now all of this stuff that's happening with the TCP IP and all that all happens in the background, right? I mean, we even had, look at our experience we had even on just dial-up using AOL. And even that was way ahead advanced of what he's talking about in this video. So when you think about how early stages it is for the Lightning Network, just know that eventually these apps are going to be seamless. They're going to be just like things that, you're already used to using, things that your grandma could use, So I will drop this video below. Please give it a listen. I was going to give it a play, but it's 3 minutes long. Check it out. I really do think you guys should listen to that. And before we go, today is Monday, so I do have to give away the Ledger Nano S. And actually, last week we had 8 opportunities because I did the video with Crown. So we actually have to put 8 instead of 7. Obviously, Monday through Friday or Monday through Sunday. Plus, we had an extra video. So let's generate. All right, so that is number 6. So let's see what video that was. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The Crown video. It was the Crown video, guys. Wow, what are the odds of that? So let's see if anybody actually wanted a Ledger in this video, but you do know that you're eligible either way. Even if you don't say you want a Ledger, you're still eligible. You do have 24 hours to get back. So we will put this in here and we'll see what's going on. Imagine that. The extra video not a lot of comments on this video, only 381. All right, drum roll, please. Great to see my 2 favorite YouTubers together in one video. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So you are the winner, Lucha Di Benedetto. Did I say that right? I hope I did. So not only did you get to see 2 of your favorite YouTubers in the same video, thank you so much. You also won a Ledger Nano S. So you know what to do. Either hit me up in my Telegram group right here. Link is below, absolutely free to join, or just go to the About Me section and just send me an email. So that is it for today. Thank you so much. I hope you guys understand that yes, we do have levels that we can go to. We're looking at certain key levels. We could fill the CME's futures gap. There's a potential to go down to 8,500. In fact, if we look at the long-term trend line, which I should have pulled up, there's a chance of hitting 8,000. But really, all these are opportunities to just scoop up cheaper Bitcoin. And like I said, if you don't want to trade the altcoins, if you don't want to use Bybit and do risky leverage trading, then dollar cost averaging is your your best friend. And as you can see over at btcdca.com, or was it dcabtc.com? I don't remember, but it was in the video before. Check that out and you'll see that, yeah, I mean, you basically... I mean, the chart speaks for itself, guys. So that being said, I want to say thank you so much once again for coming back to the channel. Don't freak out. Don't panic. Remember, when there's fear in the streets, blood in the streets, buy it, even if it's your own. You know the drill. That being said, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Everyone that's been liking, subscribing, and commenting, you guys rock. Also, make sure you turn on that bell notification so you can get these updates as quick as they come out. Also, if you didn't win the ledger, we do